Arizona's a little different. But still, immigration has hugely affected that state. Florida is very, very close. Why? Immigration. California, which Ronald Reagan not only won twice in a landslide, but George H.W. Bush won in a landslide. Did you know that? California's gone. It's a dark blue, one-party state. And they knocked out 3 or 4 more Republicans along the way. Because of changing demographics, because of immigration, not because of Trump. Not because of women in the suburbs or anything of the kind. And it's interesting that almost none of the media analysis, quote unquote, in the big media mentions immigration. And yet that's what's doing it. And people have written about this over the years. They've talked about what's coming, and it's come. And here it is. Many of you are old enough to remember. Some of you are not. Reagan won his first race in a landslide. He won his second race in a landslide. George H.W. Bush won very comfortably in the next race against Dukakis. The talk back then was, how will the Democrats ever win the presidency? How will they ever win the presidency? They can't win the popular vote, and they can't win the Electoral College. The Republicans, as long as they keep winning California, Texas, and Florida, as well as Colorado and the South, there's simply no way that the Democrats can win. So what did they do? They changed a number of the states, and they're changing a number of the states. That is why they will fight to the bitter end to secure against securing the southern border. Wall, fence, moat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They will fight to the bitter end. That is why there are at least 500 sanctuary cities in this country. 500, which are illegal. This nullification of federal law. That is why, when Obama was president, they stuffed the courts. They packed the courts with the most radical Democrats they possibly could. At the district court and circuit levels, in particular, because they knew that's where most of these cases would be heard. And that's where most of the cases involving immigration are heard. And so this is the problem. And way back when, during so-called comprehensive immigration reform, when George Bush was pushing it, I believe it was 2006, 2007, I spoke at great length on this program. That the clock was ticking. This isn't about brown people, yellow people, white people, red people, albino people, whatever. This is about reality, and you're seeing it. Because without assimilation, and this really is the first period in American history, I'd say the last 30 to 40 years, that we've had immigration without assimilation. And without assimilation, people coming to this country have no connection to this country. People coming to this country have no connection to the American culture. That is why you keep hearing Democrats and the media, and they're one and the same, keep accusing anybody who talks about securing the border or ensuring that our voting lists are correct or anything like that as being racist. Racist. Because balkanization, tribalization, diversity of cultures is exactly what they want. That's the name of the Democrat Party. It cobbles together these coalitions. It doesn't want assimilation. It needs us at each other's throats. That's the problem our country faces. Not Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump's tweets. And the truth is, if Jeb Bush were president, or one of these other guys was president, we'd be in a worse position today, worse, than we are right now. It is very superficial. It's very easy to just keep dumping on, well, if Trump did this and Trump did this, the suburbs this and the inner suburbs and the... It's not correct. It's knee-jerk. The population is changing. And that is why you keep hearing the race baiting. That is why you keep hearing a white privilege and white supremacy from the left. That is why you keep hearing the most outrageous things from the left, to try and prevent the discussion that I'm having now with you for the last 20 minutes. They don't want it. That is why the media doesn't talk about it. But it's happening right in front of your face. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And it was an article about how in Texas we have a big problem. Governor Abbott is a great governor. He only got 55% of the vote, folks. Ted Cruz got a little over 51% of the vote. Cruz had $80 million spent against him. So even today, I heard on our favorite cable channel, he was a terrible candidate, Cruz. No, he wasn't. $80 million is a lot of money. I think he raised about $25 million, which should have been plenty. There are 14 appellate courts in Texas. The vast majority have had majority Republicans on them. Now, 7 have Democrats and 7 have Republicans. The metropolitan areas in Texas, in the cities and the immediate suburbs, are all Democrat. Fort Worth was the last holdout. And Fort Worth went Democrat slightly this last election. This has nothing to do with suburban white women. Immigration. The fact that the Democrats own California has nothing to do with suburban white women. They've been owning it now for years, and it's getting worse. Immigration. And that's what's happening to these red states. It can't go on much longer until it's the Republicans who have no way to victory on a presidential election. And I'm quite serious about that. I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just telling you, we had control of the House and the Senate. And because many of the people who lost in the House, many of the rhinos this last election, wouldn't step up on immigration, we never got our wall. I'll be back. Unless we address this, and it looks like it's not possible given who controls the House now, it apparently wasn't possible when the Republicans controlled the House because about 40 or 50 of them had absolutely no interest in securing the border. Many of them lost their races this time around. It's going to become increasingly difficult to win the presidency. Now, the never-Trumpers and the more, what should I say, and the never-Trumpers who claim now not to be never-Trumpers, they'll never admit this. It's got to be Trump. He's turning people off. It's got to be Trump. He's turning people off. Has it ever occurred to them that he may actually be speaking the truth many times? Like on this issue? Whereas other Republicans don't have the guts to do so? So this has had the biggest influence on the midterm elections. This has had the biggest influence on the nature of this society. And it's going to continue. And you can hear it. The language that's being used by politicians, by people in the media, the violence that you see rising up. The nation is divided, very badly divided. And it's only going to get worse. I'll be right back.